All right, first Chronicles 11, let's call this one Mighty and subtitle it Stand, because in this chapter we are going to get the chance to see David finally get rest from all of his running in the wilderness away from Saul, as it is going to describe the way in which, in the first 3 verses, how David was actually anointed king over Israel. And in the next set of verses, how he was finally able to conquer Jerusalem, understanding that Israel had not yet been able to conquer it, even though it was part of the promised land. They were not able to evict the Jebusites from Jerusalem. And so David was able to, and this gives us a retelling of that story before the last part of the chapter gives credit to his mighty men, the ones on whom he could rely for strong support. And as we saw back in 2 Samuel 23, there were 3 who stood above the rest of the mighty men, the other 30 or so. This chapter is only going to give us 2, but back in 2 Samuel 23, it told us about one who took a stand against 300 or 800, depending upon the interpretation. Either way, by himself with a spear. And down from him was a man who stood against a horde of Philistines to the point where his hand clung to the sword. And then down from him was another who took a stand against a large number of Philistines. The text is going to say, allowing God to work a great victory through him, allowing the rest of the soldiers to simply come and collect the spoil from the slain. And even those who did not, as it's going to say, attain to the 3, one of them being Joab, David's general, his brother, stood against 300 men on his own, but that still did not qualify him to stand with the 3 mighty men who stood above the rest. And down from Joab's brother is going to be a man by the name of Benaiah, who stood against a lion before killing that lion, and stood against a large Egyptian before disarming the Egyptian and killing him with his own weapon. And all of these stories stood as a stark contrast to something that I am seeing more and more, and that is the degree to which it is either considered to be accepted or even applauded when people wield weapons against unarmed civilians. And whether it is weapons against those who are unarmed, superior numbers against those who are overmatched, or simply superior strength against the elderly who seem to be more and more under attack. Things that were once considered shameful are now passing for courage. And so chapters like this seem to be more and more important in times like this, when we really could use a healthy definition of what courage actually looks like. Understanding that there are times in the Bible, even in David's own life, when he picked up a weapon against unarmed civilians, but that is not lauded as being courageous. As a matter of fact, the amount of blood that David spilled disqualified him from certain honors, like building the temple, something that he could only prepare to have his son Solomon complete. Likewise, even his own general, his own cousin, when he turned his weapon against 2 rivals in peacetime, David told Solomon, make sure you do not let his gray head go down to the grave in peace, something Solomon made sure to do when he had Joab executed. And so chapters like this may be an important foundation for us rediscovering what biblical courage actually looks like, as we try to make our way through times that more and more are respinning as courageous, things that God may actually consider to be cowardice.